When she pulled away and gripped my shoulders, I said, aren't you supposed to not do that anymore? Hug boys, I mean. I'm honoring a friend, she corrected. I must join the hunt, Percy. I haven't known peace since Half-Blood Hill. I finally feel like I have a home. But you're the hero. You will be the one of the prophecy. Great, I muttered. I'm I'm proud to be your friend. She hugged Annabeth, who was trying hard not to cry. Then she even hugged Grover, who looked ready to pass out like somebody had just given him an all-you-can-eat enchilada coupon. Then Thalia went to stand by Artemis's side. Now for the Ophiutorus. This boy is still dangerous, Dionysus warned. The beast is a temptation to great power, even if we spare the boy. No, I looked around at all the gods. Please, keep the Ophiutorus safe. My dad can hide him under the sea somewhere, or keep him in an aquarium here in Olympus. But you have to protect him. And why should we trust you? Rumbled Hephaestus. I'm only 14. If this prophecy is about me, that's 2 more years, I said. 2 years of Chronos to deceive you, Athena said. Much can change in 2 years, my young hero. Mother, Annabeth said, exasperated. It is only the truth, child. It is a bad strategy to keep the animal alive, or the boy. My father stood. I will not have a sea creature destroyed if I can help it, and I can help it. He pulled out his hand, and a trident appeared in it, a 6-meter long bronze shaft with 3 spears' tips that shimmered with blue watery light. I will vouch for the boy and the safety of Photosaurus. You won't take it under sea. Zeus stood suddenly. I won't have that kind of bargaining chip in your possession. Brother, please, Poseidon sighed. Zeus's lightning bolt appeared in his hand, a shaft of electricity that filled the whole room with ozone storm smell. Fine, I will build an aquarium for the creature here. Hephaestus can help me. The creature will be safe. We shall protect it with all our powers. The boy will not betray us. I vouch for this on my honor. Zeus thought about this. All in favor? To my surprise, a lot of hands went up. Dionysus abstained. So did Ares and Athena, but everybody else? We have a majority, Zeus decreed. And so, since we will not be destroying these heroes, I imagine we should honor them. Let the triumph celebration begin. Partying at Olympus? I think that is a treat. There are parties, and then there are huge major blowout parties, and then there are Olympian parties. If you ever get a choice, go for the Olympian. The 9 muses cranked up the tunes, and I realized the music was whatever you want it to be. The gods listened to classical, and the younger demigods heard hip hop or whatever, and it was all the same soundtrack. No arguments, no fights to change the radio station, just requests to crank it up. Dionysus went around, growing refreshment strands out of the ground, and a beautiful woman walked with him in arm in arm, his wife, Ariadne. Dionysus looked happy for the first time. Nectar and ambrosia overflowed from golden mountains, and platters of mortal snack food crowded the banquet tables, golden goblets filled with whatever drink you wanted. Grover trotted around with a plate full of tin cans and enchiladas, and his goblet was full of double espresso latte, which he kept muttering over like an incantation. Pan, pan. Oh, my sweet, sweet Grover. Dionysus went around. Oh, wait. Gods kept coming over to congratulate me. Thankfully, they had reduced themselves to human size so they didn't accidentally trample partygoers under their feet. Hermes started chatting with me, and he was so cheerful I hated to tell him what had happened to his least favorite son, Luke. But before I could even get up the courage, Hermes got a call on his Caduceus and walked away. Apollo told me I could drive his sun chariot any time, and if I ever wanted archery lessons. Thanks. But seriously, I'm no good at archery, I told him. Ah, nonsense. Target practice from a chariot as we fly over US? Best of fun there is, he says. Don't do that, Percy. It is literally a flight risk. I made some excuses and wove through the crowds that were dancing in the palace courtyards. I was looking for Annabeth. Last time I saw her, she'd been dancing with some minor godling. Then a man's voice behind me said, "You won't let me down, I hope." I turned and found Poseidon smiling at me. "Dad, hi." "Hello, Percy. You've done well." His praise made me uneasy. I mean, it felt good, but I knew just how much he'd put himself on the line vouching for me. It would have been a lot easier to let the others disintegrate me. "I won't let you down," I promised. He nodded. I had trouble reading God's emotions, but I wondered if he had some doubts. "Your friend Luke. He's not my friend," I blurted out. Then I realized it was probably rude to interrupt. "Sorry. Your former friend Luke. He once promised things like that," Poseidon corrected. "He was Hermes' pride and joy. Just bear that in mind, Percy. Even the bravest can fall." Luke fell pretty hard. "He's dead," I agreed. "No, Percy, he's not." Poseidon shook his head. "What?" I stared at him. "I believe Annabeth told you this. Luke still lives. I have seen it. His boat sails from San Francisco with the remains of Kronos even now. He will retreat and regroup before assaulting you again. I will do my best to destroy his boat with storms, but he is making alliances with my enemies, the old spirits of the ocean. They will fight to protect him." "How can he be alive? That fall should have killed him," I said. Poseidon looked troubled. "I don't know, Percy. But beware of him. He's more dangerous than ever. And the golden coffin is still with him, still growing in strength. What about Atlas? Who's to prevent him from escaping again? Couldn't he just force some giant or something to take the sky from him?" I said. My father my father snorted in derision. "If it were so easy, he would have escaped long ago. No, my son, the curse of the sky can only be forced upon a titan, one of the children of Gaia and Uranus. Anyone else must choose to take the burden of their own free will. Only a hero, someone with strength, a true heart, and great courage would do such a thing. No one in Kronos' army would dare try to bear that weight, even upon pain of death. Luke did it. He let Atlas go," I said. "Then he tricked Annabeth into saving him and used her to convince Artemis to take the sky." "Yes," Poseidon said. "Luke is an interesting case. I don't know if we are making an anti-villain out of Luke. That is not how you make an anti-villain. I mean, I'll be very honest, I do not see any redeeming qualities in Luke. And in an anti-hero, there is always a redeeming quality visible, even with a naked eye. So, if there's an attempt to make Luke a anti-hero, then I don't see it. And I won't like it if that's true." I think he wanted to say more, but just then Bessie started moving from across the courtyard. Some demigods were playing with his water sphere, joyously pushing it back and forth over the top of the crowd. "I'd better take care of that." We can't have the Ophiuchus tossed around like a beach ball. Be good, my son. We may not speak again for some time. And just like that, he was gone. I was about to keep searching the crowd when another voice spoke. Your father takes a great risk, you know. I found myself face to face with a grey eyed woman who looked so much like Annabeth I almost called her that. Athena, I tried not to sound resentful after the way she'd written me off in the council, but I guess I didn't hide it very well. She smiled dryly. Do not judge me too harshly, half blood. Wise counsel is not always popular, but I spoke the truth. You are dangerous. You never take risks? I concede the point, she nodded. You may perhaps be useful, but yet your fatal flaw may destroy us as well as yourself. My heart crept into my throat. A year ago, Annabeth and I had a talk about fatal flaws. Every hero had one. Hers, she said, was pride. She believed she could do anything, like holding up the world, for instance, or saving Luke. But I didn't really know what was mine. Athena looked almost sorry for me. Kronos knows your flaw, even if you do not. He knows how to study his enemies. Think, Percy, how has he manipulated you? First, your mother was taken from you, then your best friend Grover, and now my daughter Annabeth. She paused, disapproving. In each case, your loved ones have been used to lure you into Kronos' traps. Your fatal flaw is personal loyalty, Percy. You do not know when it is time to cut your losses. To save a friend, you would sacrifice the world. In a hero of the prophecy, that is a very, very dangerous. I balled my fist. That's not a flaw. Just because I want to help my friends, the most dangerous flaws are those which are good in moderation. Evil is easy to fight. Lack of wisdom? That is very hard indeed, she said. I wanted to argue, but I found I couldn't. Athena was pretty darn smart. I hope the council's decisions prove wise, Athena said. But I will be watching, Percy Jackson. I do not approve of your friendship with my daughter. I do not think it is wise for either of you. And should you begin to waver in your loyalties, she fixed me with her cold grey stare, and I realized what a terrible enemy Athena would make, 10 times worse than Ares or Dionysus, or maybe even my father. Athena would never give up. She would never do something rash or stupid just because she hated you, and if she made a plan to destroy you, it would not fail. Percy, Annabeth said, running through the hall. She stopped short when she saw who I was talking to. Oh, Mom, I will leave you for now. She turned and strode through the crowd, which parted before her as if she were carrying Aegis. Was she giving you a hard time? Annabeth asked. No, it's fine. She studied me with concern. She touched the new streak of grey in my hair that matched hers exactly, our painful souvenir from holding Atlas's burden. There was a lot I wanted to say to Annabeth, but Athena had taken the confidence out of me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I do not approve of your friendship with my daughter. So, what did you want to tell me earlier? Annabeth said. The music was playing, people were dancing in the streets, and I said, I was thinking we got interrupted at Westover Hall, and I think I owe you a dance. She smiled slowly. All right, seaweed brain. So I took her hand. I don't know what everybody else heard, but to me it sounded like a slow dance. A little sad, but maybe a little hopeful too. That is not how you end chapters. That was mean. Anyway, we have one more chapter to go, the last one. Yeah, chapter 20. I get a new enemy for Christmas. Damn it. Let the Christmas end in peace. Before I left Olympus, I decided to make a few calls. It wasn't easy, but I finally found a quiet fountain in a corner garden and sent an iris message to my brother Tyson under the sea. I told him about our adventures and Bessie. He wanted to hear every detail about the cute baby cow serpent, and I showed him that Annabeth was safe. Finally, I got around to explaining how the shield he'd made me last summer had damaged in the Manticore attack. Yay, that means it was good. It saved your life, Tyson said. It sure did, big guy, I said. But now it's ruined. Not ruined. I will visit and fix it next summer, Tyson promised. The idea picked me up instantly. I guess I hadn't realized how much I missed having Tyson around. Seriously? They'll let you take time off? I asked. Yes, I have made 2,741 magic swords, Tyson said proudly, showing me the newest blade. The boss says, good work. He will let me take the whole summer off. I will visit camp. We talked for a while about war preparations and our dad's fight with the old sea gods and all the cool things we could do together next summer. But then Tyson's boss started yelling at him and he had to get back to work. I dug out my last golden drachma and made one more iris message. Sally Jackson, Upper East Side, Manhattan. The mist shimmered, and there was my mom at our kitchen table laughing and holding hands with her friend Mr. Bluefish. That's not his name, Percy, but sure. I felt so embarrassed I was about to wave my hand through the mist, cut the connection, but before I could, my mom saw me. Her eyes got wide. She let go of Mr. Blowfish's hand really quickly. Oh, Paul, you know what? I left my writing journal in the living room. Would you mind getting it for me? Sure, Sally, no problem. He left the room, and instantly my mom leaned towards the iris message. Percy, are you all right? I am. Fine. How's that writing seminar going? She pursed her lips. It's fine, but that's not important. Tell me what's happened. I filled her in as quickly as I could. She sighed with relief that when she heard Annabeth was safe. I knew you could do it. I'm so proud, she said. Yeah, well, I'd better let you get back to your homework. Percy, Paul and I, Mom, are you happy? The question seemed to take her by surprise. She thought for a moment. Yes, I really am, Percy. Being around him makes me happy. Then it's cool. Seriously, don't worry about me. Funny thing was, I meant it. Considering the quest I just had, maybe I should have been more worried about my mom. I'd seen just how mean people could be to each other. Like Hercules was to Zoe Nightshade, like Luke was to Thalia. I'd met Aphrodite, goddess of love, in person. I'd met Aphrodite, goddess of love, in person, and her powers had scared me worse than Ares. But seeing my mother laughing and smiling after all the years she'd suffered with my nasty ex-stepfather Gabe Ugliano, I couldn't help feeling happy for her. You promise not to call him Mr. Blowfish? She asked. I shrugged. Well, maybe not to his face, anyway. Sally, Mr. Blowfish called from our living room. You need the green binder or the red one? I'd better go. See you for Christmas, she told me. Are you putting the blue candy in my stocking? If you're not too old for that, she smiled. I'm never too old for candy. I'll see you then. She waved her hand across the mist. Her image disappeared, and I thought to myself that Thalia had been right so many days ago at Westover Hall. My mom really was pretty cool. Compared to Mount Olympus, Manhattan was quiet. Friday before Christmas, but it was early in the morning, and hardly anyone was on Fifth Avenue. August and the many-eyed security chief picked up Annabeth Grover and me at Empire State Building and ferried us back to camp through a light snowstorm. The Long Island Expressway was almost deserted. As we trudged back up Half Blood Hill to the pine tree where the golden fleece glittered, I half expected to see Thalia there, waiting for us. But she wasn't. She was long gone, with Artemis and the rest of the hunters, off on their next adventure. Chiron greeted us at the big house with hot chocolate and toasted cheese sandwiches. Grover went off with his theta friends to spread the word about our strange encounter with the magic of Pan. Within an hour, the satyrs were all running around agitated, asking where the nearest espresso bar was. Annabeth and I sat with Chiron and some of the other senior campers, Beckendorf, Selina Bodegard, and Stoll brothers. Even Clarice from Aries' cabin was there, back from her secretive scouting mission. I knew she must have had a difficult quest because she didn't even try to pulverize me. She had a new scar on her chin, and her dirty blonde hair had been cut short and ragged, like someone had attacked it with a pair of safety scissors. I got news. Bad news, she mumbled uneasily. I'll fill you in later, Chiron said with forced cheerfulness. The important thing is you have prevailed, and you have saved Annabeth. Annabeth smiled at me gratefully, which made me look away. For some strange reason, I found myself thinking about the Hoover Dam and the odd mortal girl I'd run into there, Rachel Elizabeth Dare. I didn't know why, but her annoying comments kept coming back to me. Do you always kill people when they blow their nose? I think this is not the last we're seeing of her, but I'm not so sure. I didn't know why, but her annoying. I was only alive because so many people had helped me, even a random mortal girl like that. I'd never even complained to her who I was. Never even explained to her who I was. Luke is alive. Annabeth was right, I said. Annabeth sat up. How do you know? I tried not to feel annoyed by her interest. I told her that my dad had said about Princess Andromeda. Well, Annabeth shifted uncomfortably in her chair. If the final battle does come when Percy is 16, at least we have 2 more years to figure something out. I had a feeling that when she said figure something out, she meant get Luke to change his ways, which annoyed me even more. Chiron's expression was gloomy. Sitting by the fire in his wheelchair, he looked really old. I mean, he was really old, but he usually didn't look it. 2 years may seem like a long time, but it is the blink of an eye. I still hope you are not the child of the prophecy, Percy. But if you are, then the second Titan war is almost upon us. Kronos' first strike will be here. How do you know? Why would he care about camp? I asked. Because the gods use heroes as their tools. Chiron said, simply. Destroy the tools, and the gods will be crippled. Luke's forces will come here. Mortal, demigod, monstrous. We must be prepared. Clarice's news may give us clue as to how they will attack, but there was a knock on the door. Oh God. And Nico D'Angelo came huffing into the parlor, his cheeks bright red from the cold. He was smiling, but he looked around anxiously. Hey, where's my sister? Dead silence. I stared at Chiron. I couldn't believe nobody had told him yet, and then I realized why. They'd been waiting for us to appear to tell Nico in person. That was the last thing I wanted to do, but I owed it to Bianca. Nico, let's take a walk, okay? We need to talk. I got up from my comfortable chair. He took the news in silence, which somehow made it worse. I kept talking, trying to explain how it happened, how Bianca had sacrificed herself to save the quest, but I felt like I was the only one. I was only making things worse. She wanted you to have this. I brought out the little god figurine Bianca had found in the junkyard. Nico held it in his palm and stared at it. We were standing at the dining pavilion, just where we'd last spoken before I went on the quest. The wind was bitterly cold, even with the camp's magical weather protection. Snow fell lightly against the marble steps. I figured outside the camp borders there must be a blizzard happening. You promised you would protect her, Nico said. He might as well have stabbed me with a rusty dagger. It would have hurt less than reminding me of my promise. Nico, I tried, but Bianca gave herself up to save the rest of us. I told her not to, but she. You promised! He glared at me, his eyes rimmed with red. He closed his fist round the god statue. I shouldn't have trusted you. You lied to me. My nightmares were right. His voice broke. Wait, what nightmares? He flung the god statue to ground. It clattered across the icy marble. I hate you. She might be alive, I said desperately. I don't know for sure. She's dead. He closed his eyes. His whole body trembled with rage. I should have known it earlier. She's in the field of asphodel, standing before the judges right now, being evaluated. I can feel it. What do you mean you can feel it? Before he could answer, I heard a new sound behind me. A hissing, clattering noise. I recognized it all too well. I drew my sword and Nico gasped. I whirled and found myself facing four skeleton warriors. They grinned fleshless grin and advanced with swords drawn. I don't know how they'd made it inside the camp, but it didn't matter. I'd never get help in time. Yo, you're trying to kill me. You brought these things, Nico screamed. No, I mean, yes, they followed me, but no, Nico. Run, they can't be destroyed. I don't trust you. The first skeleton charged. I knocked aside its blade, but the other three kept coming. I sliced one in half, but immediately it began to knit back together. I knocked another's head off, but it just kept fighting. Run, Nico, get help. No, he pressed his hands to his ears. I couldn't fight four at once, not if they wouldn't die. I slashed and whirled, blocked, jabbed, but they just kept advancing. It was only a matter of seconds before the zombies overpowered me. No, go away, Nico shouted louder. The ground rumbled beneath me. The skeletons froze. I rolled out of the way just as a crack opened at the feet of the four warriors. The ground ripped apart like snapping mouth. Flames erupted from the fissure, and the earth swallowed the skeletons in one loud crunch. Silence. In the place where the skeletons had stood, a 6-meter long scar wove across the marble floor of the pavilion. Otherwise, there was no sign of the warriors. Awestruck, I looked at Nico. How did you go away? He yelled. I hate you. I wish you were dead. The ground didn't swallow me up, but Nico ran down the steps, heading towards the woods. I started to follow, but slipped and fell on the icy steps. When I got up, I noticed what I'd slipped on. I picked up the god statue Bianca had retrieved from the junkyard for Nico. The only god statue he didn't have, she said, a last gift from his sister. I stared at it with dread, because now I understood why the face looked familiar. I'd seen it before. It was a statue of Hades, Lord of the Dead. Annabeth and Grover helped me search the woods for hours, but there was no sign of Nico D'Angelo. We have to tell Chiron, Annabeth said out of breath. No. She and Grover both stared at me. What do you mean? No, Grover said nervously. I was still trying to figure out why I had said that, but the words spilled out of me. We can't let anyone know. I don't think anyone realizes that Nico is a son of Hades. Annabeth said, Percy, do you have any idea how serious this is? Even Hades broke the oath. That is horrible. I don't think so. I don't think Hades broke the oath. What? He's their dad, but Bianca and Nico have been out of commission for a long time. Since even before World War II. The Lotus Casino, Grover said, and he told Annabeth about the conversation we'd had with Bianca on the quest. She and Nico were stuck there for decades. They were born before the oath was made. I nodded. But how did they get out? I don't know. Bianca said a lawyer came and got them and drove them to Westover Hall. I don't know who that could have been or why. Maybe it's part of this great stirring thing. I don't think Nico understands who he is. But we can't go telling anyone, not even Chiron. If the Olympians find out, it might start them fighting among each other again. That's the last thing we need, Annabeth said. Grover looked worried. But you can't hide things from the gods. Not forever. I don't need forever. Just 2 years, until I'm 16. Annabeth paled. But Percy, this means the prophecy might not be about you. It might be Nico. We have to know. I choose the prophecy. It will be about me. Why are you saying that? She cried. You want to be responsible for the whole world? It was the last thing I wanted, but I didn't say that. I knew I had to step up and claim it. I can't let Nico be in any more danger. I owe that much to his sister. I let them both down. I'm not going to let that poor kid suffer anymore. The poor kid who hates you and wants to see you dead, Grover reminded me. Maybe we can find him. We can convince him it's okay, hide him somewhere safe. Annabeth shivered. If Luke gets hold of him, Luke won't. I'll make sure he's got other things to worry about, namely me. I wasn't sure Chiron believed the story Annabeth and I told him. I think he could tell I was holding something back about Nico's disappearance, but in the end he accepted it. Unfortunately, Nico wasn't the first half-blood to disappear. So young, Chiron sighed, his hands on the rail of the front porch. Alas, I hope he was eaten by monsters. Much better than being recruited into Titan's army. That was not. No. That idea made me really uneasy. I almost changed my mind about telling Chiron, but I didn't. You really think the first attack will be here? I asked. Chiron stared at the snow falling on the hills. I could see the smoke from Dragon Guardian at the pine tree, the glitter of the distant fleet. It will not be until summer at least. This winter will be hard, the hardest of many centuries. It's best that you go home to the city, Percy. Try to keep your mind on school. And rest. You will need rest. I looked at Annabeth. What about you? Her cheeks flushed. I'm going to try San Francisco after all. Maybe I can keep an eye on Mount Tam. Make sure Titans don't try anything else. You'll send an Iris message if anything goes wrong? She nodded. But I think Chiron's right. It won't be until summer. Luke will need time to regain his strength. I didn't like the idea of waiting. Then again, next August, I would turn 15. So close to 16, I didn't want to think about it. All right, just take care of yourself, I said. And no crazy stunts on Sopwith Camel. She smiled tentatively. Deal. And Percy? Whatever she was going to say was interrupted by Grover, who stumbled out of the big house, tripping over tin cans. His face was haggard and pale, like he'd seen a specter. He spoke. Grover cried. "Calm down, young Satyr." Chiron said, frowning. "What is the matter?" I was playing music in the parlor," he stammered, "and drinking coffee. Lots of coffee. And he spoke in my mind." "Who?" Annabeth demanded. "Pan," Grover wailed. "The Lord of Wild himself. I heard him. I have to find a suitcase." "Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did he say?" Grover stared at me. "Just 3 words. He said, 'I await you.'" I'm worried. That doesn't sound. I mean, it could be Kronos luring Percy to him. But who am I to judge? Anyways, that was the end of the book. We finished the book, y'all. Now, see, I need time to finish Aragon because I do chapter by chapter here. Aragon is just too huge to finish. Like, look at this. This huge. And I need to learn to pronounce the different languages that have been written there. And so we are not doing Aragon, at least not till I finish it off, and then deal with it like I deal with my university texts. So we finished the Titan's Curse, and all I want to say is that all I want to say is I give this text a 4-star. I don't usually give any text 5 stars out of 5 because that's just who I am. But I give it 4 stars mostly because in the middle section somewhere, right when the quest was about to begin, like when Percy was following them and the whole interaction of him seeing the skeletons being born and the part of Neiman Lion thing, I think that was being many part from there to the junkyard was dragged a lot, and it could have been shorter. It could have Rick Riordan could have paced things up a bit, but that's just me. So yeah, that is the only thing I didn't like about it. And I know that showing Artemis as a young child is like a maiden is kind of the point, but they could have also, rather than having a 12-year-old for a maiden, they could have had him be her. They could have had her be at least 15 or something. Not because it looks not. Don't have anything against age or anything. It's just it kind of undermines her. I know that is kind of the point, but it's still. I don't know. I just cannot wrap my head around it. Maybe it's just me, but that's that. And I am not a fan of slow burn, so I am very pissed that this is a slow burn between Percy and Annabeth and Grover and Pan. But overall, it is a treat to read these books. I do have 2 more books, so maybe I would continue the series and finish it off. So tomorrow we will start with book 3, Percy Jackson book. It's not book 3. This is book 3. Book 4, Percy Jackson book 4. Thank you so much for watching me. I hope you love watching my videos, and I know I've been messing up, but who cares anyway. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow with a new book. Book 4, which I don't know the name of. So I will see you guys. Bye.